Wonderful trip. So I'm going to start today's program with a song called Kalamaike, or as I was corrected by a Ukrainian I met a few weeks ago, Kalameshke. But I actually looked it up and it's got about 500 different spellings. I'm exaggerating, of course. But it does have a lot of different spellings. But what's important is where it's from. This is a Ukrainian song. And I'm playing it because we're still fighting over there. And the saddest part is, we're all cousins, but they're like brothers. And there are literally brothers fighting brothers everywhere, and we have to stop that. So in honor of peace, this is a song. Now I need your help with it. The first part's going to be slow and melismatic, but then you're going to see me start giving it a beat. So I need you guys to help me with the beat and clap. The question is, will you be able to keep up? Thank you, in honor of peace, Ukrainian, Russian, and worldwide.
Welcome, newcomers, members, and friends to our worship service at Central Unitarian Church. My name is Kortequee, and I'm an active member in CUC's Youth Group. CUC is an inclusive community of all ages which embraces diversity in identity, expression, and spiritual belief. Many of our members and friends find inspiration, hope, and renewal with us. We hope that you find something meaningful about our service today. If you are visiting us in person, be sure to say hello to one of our welcome hosts. If you are visiting us online, we invite you to sign our guest book by providing us with your name and contact information. The link for the guest book has been provided in the chat at the bottom of your screen. We are grateful for those helping to make the service happen, including David Volante, Amy Usatine, Quinlan Kraft, Noah Hartman, Gardner, Dixon-Patrick, and Gioia. We invite you to stay after service for coffee, conversation, and connection in the same space. As we prepare to begin our service this morning, we ask those in person to please silence your electronic devices. For those of you who are online, we encourage you to have your own chalice ready to light it as we light our own chalice here in our worship space. I have a few announcements for today. This summer, from June 16th to September 1st, we will once again hold intimate in-person services at CUC. These services have been a great way for CUC members and friends to get to know each other. Each service will include a few hymns, a chalice lighting, joys and sorrows, and a personal sharing from one of our members and friends. The theme of our services this summer is personal sharing, my passion. We encourage you to sign up to share your passion with others at CUC. What makes you passionate about your particular subject or activity? Has it been a hobby of yours, or is it tied to your profession? What have you learned from this passion? If you would like to speak at one of these services, please reach out to Reverend Andre. As this congregational year reaches its conclusion at the end of June, we ask that you mark your calendars for a few of our annual year-end gatherings. First is CUC's annual meeting, which will be held on Sunday, June 2nd, following service. All CUC voting members are encouraged to join us. The meeting will include a presentation of our annual report from the CUC Board of Trustees and staff, as well as a vote of our proposed budget and leadership state for our 2024 to 2025 congregational year, which begins in July. Also, CUC will be holding our traditional flower communion service and end-of-year picnic on Sunday, June 9th. Bring a flower to add to our communal vase. Each participant will be invited to take a different flower home with them. For the picnic, please bring a dish to share. Additional details will be published in next week's newsletter. This is a small youth group announcement. We are still selling our 2024 Prague bags. In the back, there's a neon green sign, and after service, you can ask Gioia if you have any questions. Then I will invite Robin Canada to share an announcement about Spring Fling.
Good morning. Good morning. Last night at 7 p.m., Spring Fling started. We already have, I think, over 10% raised. We're looking to raise $15,000 this year. Spring Fling, for those who don't know, that serves two purposes. Number one, it's our largest fundraiser for church. All the money goes to our funds. And number two, it gives us all a chance to get to know each other better. I mean, I've made a lot of really good friends by attending Spring Fling events. So it's a really good way for us to gel as a community. There's items for everybody. There's bidding items. Some of those go pretty high. But there's something for everyone at Spring Fling. We have items that are just a sign-up. There's no bidding involved. You just see the price and you sign up for it, and that's what you pay. Just an example, Brooke and I do our 4th of July. This year it's 4th of July on the 6th. And I think it's $20 a person and $40 a family. And that's, you can't go to McDonald's for that. So there's something for everyone. Well, thank you. I know it's a low bar, but I'll try my best. This year, again, every year we have special fundraisers as part of Spring Fling. Number one, we're raising money to help us when Reverend Andre goes on sabbatical in January. So we're raising money for that. And number two, BCLA, which is our partner organization that's run by members of the congregation, Anthony and Nick, are looking for us to buy bus passes. You say, well, why bus passes? There's people that are homeless that have been evicted from their homes because of their gender identities and so on, and they need bus passes. They don't drive. They need bus passes to get to their services. So we're looking to raise money that way. If there's any questions, because Spring Fling Committee members stand up that are here today. Turn around, please. If you have any questions, please ask one of us. All right? As the old saying used to be, vote early, vote often. It's bid early and bid often. Thank you.
I now invite Janice to speak about her announcement.
Good morning. I have an unexpected appendage this morning. Just a couple of quick points of business. We recently received a check from someone's retirement account issued from Fidelity, and it's the first time we've seen a check for this amount, and there's no name on it. So if you have just started sending your pledge in through your Fidelity retirement account, please come and see me or Jeff if he's here. I don't see him. He's not here. Okay. So we can figure out whose pledge this is, because it looks like a pledge amount. The second thing is that it's towards the end of the year now, and our coffers are pretty low. And because we just bought the building and had to turn some things on, and we've seen a couple of rather significant bills come in. So if you have not yet paid your pledge for this year, and I know there are a few of you that like to wait till the end of the year to do it, but we could really use those payments. So thank you very much.
And now let us formally begin our gathering. Please turn to a person near you and offer them a warm welcome. We now invite you to stand in body or in spirit for our first hymn, Blue Boat Home.
Still Good morning, CUC. Please join me in your chalice lighting words. We light this chalice to remind us of our dreams. We light this chalice to harness our hearts and our minds and our spirits, to work towards a better future for all. To harness our hearts and our minds and our spirits, to work towards a better future for all.
To embrace the whole of our human experience, to honor our past and our gifts of the present, to create a community where each of us may find healing, transformation, and hope.
Good morning. Today, I want to share a heartwarming experience our Unitarian Universalist youth group had this past Easter. We had an incredible opportunity to visit the Unitarian Church in Prague and spend a memorable Sunday with Pastor Petr, his wife, and his daughter, Dubravka. This experience not only brought us closer as a group, but also deepened our understanding of different cultural and the religious traditions of our sister church, Unitaria. Upon arriving at Unitaria, we were warmly welcomed by the pastor and his family. Amy and I expressed our gratitude for their hospitality with a small thank you speech that Joseph dutifully translated. Pastor Petr then led a beautiful service in Czech. The topic of the service was unity and power within. Joseph did help us out with brief translations, and Petr did speak some English just to let us know the transitions throughout the service. The language was unfamiliar to many of us, but his passionate delivery and the serene atmosphere transcended any language barriers. Following the service, Pastor Petr took the time to explain a special ceremony known as the ribbon ceremony. Each of us had brought a ribbon from home, each one symbolizing something meaningful to us that we would put in this wooden box and then tell the congregation what the ribbon stood for. Later, we would tie these ribbons to the branches of the tree at the cemetery we cleaned up, creating a vibrant and personal display of our shared values and experiences. One of the highlights of our visit to Unitaria was participating in their unique chalice lighting service. Each of us was given an individual candle. We lit our candles and placed them into this bowl filled with a rocky sand glass. As the heat from our candles intensified, it caused a contraption to spin a chalice in the center, symbolizing the collective energy and unity of their community. It was a mesmerizing sight and a profound moment of reflection and connection. Now, after the service, we engaged in wonderful conversation with the active members of Unitaria. This was where we met some former American citizens and learned about the two different kinds of service that Unitaria has to offer. The service we went to was directed towards the native Czech Unitarians, while there's another service that is catered to English speakers on a different day. Then, as we spoke to the native UUs over coffee, I learned a lot about the Unitarian crest and that they decorated the church with. The sunflowers and the sun depicted in the background symbolize growth, enlightenment, and the pursuit of truth. The blue background and the shield shape may signify protection and tradition. The motto, Virtuas Vincent, translates to truth prevails, emphasizing the importance of truth, integrity, core values in the Unitarian belief. This crest embodies the Church's commitment to enlightenment, human dignity, and continuous spiritual and ethical growth. After the church service and ceremonies, we had the opportunity to explore the city and learn more about Easter traditions in Prague. We even had our very own tour guide, Dubravka. Her and her mother explained all of the traditions in the Old Town Square. Easter in Prague is a vibrant time of celebrations deeply rooted in both religious and cultural customs. One of the most fascinating aspects in this festival held in the Old Town Square was the selling of the beautifully decorated eggs, traditional Czech crafts, and delicious food halls offering local delicacies. The atmosphere was joyous, festive, with music, dancing, and various performances that capture the spirit of Easter. Walking through the bustling market, we were able to see firsthand how Easter is celebrated in this historic city. The rich traditions and the lively environment of the Old Town Square left a lasting impression on us. It was a perfect blend of cultural immersion, festive enjoyment, and making Easter in Prague truly unforgettable. To conclude, our trip to the Unitarian Church in Prague was more than just a visit. It was a profound experience that enriched our understanding in faith, community, and cultural diversity. We are grateful to Pastor Petr, his family, and the entire congregation for their warmth and hospitality. We are especially grateful for meeting Dubravka and for her sweet and calming personality. Her familiar face and eagerness to show us around Prague really let us let loose and explore. This Easter, we not only celebrated the holiday, but forged deeper connections and cherished memories that will stay with us for years to come. Thank you. Our second reflection today is from Quinlan Kraft, and will be played on Zoom since he's at UDEL studying, finishing up his first year.
Hello, my name is Quinlan Kraft, and I am one of the youth group who went on the recent trip to Prague through CUC. Unfortunately, I could not be in person for this service as I'm currently attending college, but I'm still glad to participate virtually. One of our countless amazing activities on this trip was completing a service project, which involved clearing away overgrown plants at a Jewish cemetery in Marina, one of the towns neighboring Prague, with the help of volunteers from the Prague Unitarian congregation. Parts of the project included picking smaller weeds, chopping down and trimming overgrown vines and bushes, and clearing away branches. Everyone pitched in. All of us from youth group, the chaperones, and the volunteers from the Prague congregation collaborated on this multifaceted project. And although there was a lot to do, with everyone working together, we got it done in about 5 hours. It was tough work, but it was amazing to see the difference that we made for such a sacred space by all working together. At the end, we had a small but beautiful ribbon ceremony to commemorate the service we performed. I will personally remember how Reverend Sosinsky talked about the memory of the project, and how helping such a sacred space will be with us forever, just as we all made a lasting impact on the space itself. I would like to thank the members of the Prague Unitarian congregation who supplied gardening tools and did a lot of the heavy lifting around the site, as well as the chaperones and my youth group peers for their hard work as well. Additionally, I would like to thank everyone who donated money for this trip, as without you, none of this would have been possible. I personally am grateful that I got to partake in such a meaningful act of service, and I am sure all of our efforts will not go unnoticed.
Can you hear me? Okay. We were able to fulfill our mission here at Central Unitarian Church through the generous contributions of our members and friends. Your financial gifts help us to maintain our operating budget, which includes paying for our staff and programming. If you are capable of making a financial contribution today, your gift will help ensure that CUC continues to be a vital part of our lives and our community. Our offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you.
Due to the recent trip, I chose a very specific song, Oifen Pripečik. This song was actually written in the end of the 19th century by a guy named Mark Warshawski, who was a lawyer in Kiev, in Ukraine also, turned composer. And he was deemed actually by Sholom Aleichem, I don't know if anybody's heard that name, one of the greatest composers of Jewish music. He took him on as his protege and took him around Europe and introduced him to everybody and made a statement that this is the epitome of folk Jewish music, which of course was fought by some people in St. Petersburg who were more trained. But that's besides the point. And I just want to read you A little bit about it. The song is about a rabbi teaching his young students the alphabet, the ABCs in Hebrew, and it's about life in the shtetl. That was what he wrote about. So because of that, this became one of the most popular songs after both World War I and even more after World War II, as Jews were trying to remember the places that no longer existed. And I'm going to read you the words of this song. On the hearth, which is Sosinsky, that's the name, a fire burns, and in the house it is warm, and the rabbi is teaching little children the alphabet. See, children, remember, dear ones, what you learn here. Repeat and repeat again. Kometz Aleph O. Learn, children, with great enthusiasm, so I instruct you. He among you who learns Hebrew pronunciation faster, he will receive a flag. Learn, children, don't be afraid. Every beginning is hard. Lucky is the one who has learned Torah. What more does a person need? When you grow, children, you will understand by yourselves how many tears lie in these letters and how much lament.
Brennt a fire, und in Stub ist heiß. Und Rebbe lernt kleine Kinderlach, dem Aleph Beis. Und Rebbe lernt kleine Kinderlach, dem Aleph Beis. Was ihr lernt, sagt je noch amol, sagt je noch amol, kommt Aleph O. Sagt je noch amol, take noch amol, kommt Aleph O. Seht je Kinderlach, gedenkt je Teire, was ihr lernt sag je noch amol und take noch amol, kommt Aleph O. Sag je noch amol und take noch amol, kommt Aleph O. Brennt a fire, und in Stub ist heiß. Sagt je noch amol und take noch amol, kommt Aleph O. Sagt je noch amol und take noch amol, kommt
Please join me in saying our dedication words. We dedicate these gifts in service of our mission to welcome all into a home of spiritual diversity that challenges us to become our best selves, to minister to one another in love, and to serve the greater community.
Now we invite you to stand in body or in spirit for our next hymn, Hymn 100, Peace Like a River. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. A central theme of our trip to Prague was the idea of living history. While much of our trip was related to learning about historical events, every lesson, every event that we learned about traced back in one way or another to today. We were not just learning about the past, but rather learning about how Prague's past has shaped its present. This was best exhibited by our trip to Prague's Jewish Quarter. Over a 5-hour walking tour through the city's synagogues, including one that has been in use since the 13th century and the old Jewish cemetery, we learned in great detail about the pervasive history of anti-Semitism across the Czech Republic and Europe at large. While the Jewish Quarter exists as a cultural tribute, only about 2,000 Jews remain in the Czech Republic today, a reminder about how the actions of the past have created today's reality. During this tour, we learned about the countless times that European Jews have been expelled from their homes, leaving them in a perpetual state of exile and uncertainty. We learned about how in the Middle Ages, if the Jews of Prague wanted to leave their mandated home of the Jewish Quarter, they were forced to wear humiliating hats or collars as a form of branding. we learned about how, in the case of a bad harvest or a dwindling economy, the Jewish quarter was frequently blamed irrationally for these events and often massacred ruthlessly by angry mobs. These actions mirror the later actions of Adolf Hitler, who branded Jews with a yellow Star of David and weaponized the anger of the German people to try and eliminate them. As a Jewish person myself, this reminded me of an important truth. History repeats itself. We, who have the freedom to gain an education, speak our minds, and express our spirituality, must not remain complacent in the sight of prejudice, brutality, or oppression of any kind. Now, life once again mirrors history. In February 2022, President Vladimir Putin of Russia invaded eastern Ukraine, capitalizing on fear, prejudice, and anger against the Ukrainian people in order to advance his political agenda. His actions displaced almost 9 million refugees, robbing them of their right to self-determination in their own home. On our trip, thanks to the incredible efforts of our friends at Unitaria, we had the opportunity to speak to one of these people. Accompanied by her 2 young sons, the woman we spoke with described to us how she had been forced to evacuate her home in eastern Ukraine shortly after Putin began ruthlessly bombing cities across the Russian-Ukrainian border. She showed us pictures about how her home, a normal apartment, had been completely destroyed by acts of war. She told us about how she had to travel through refugee camps in Ukraine and Poland with her 2 young sons, and she told us about how she had lost both her parents to the bombings, once this year in 2024. I hope that the story of this woman, whose name I have omitted out of respect for her, should remind you and I that people displaced by violence are not just statistics. They are people, they are faces, they have lives, they have names, they have history. They are men, women, and children, often living average lives, lives upended through no fault of their own. We cannot let ourselves become desensitized to violence around the world or allow ourselves to ignore the plight of those who may not resemble us. Our trip to Prague reminded me that we are living through history, a fact we cannot and should not forget. Destruction and violence, hatred and prejudice are not abstract concepts of a long time ago. They are more present than ever in 2024. Members, friends, and guests, I urge you to remember the past and recognize the present so that we may form a more peaceful future for all. Thank you. And now Noah Hartman will be showing us a video of his reflection over video. Thank you.
Good morning, CUC. My name is Noah Hartman. On May 27th of 1942, the Nazi leader of Prague, Reinhard Heydrich, was assassinated in his open-top car on his way to work. As retaliation, the Nazis shot anybody who did not have their papers on site and destroyed the local village of Letitse. They had a memorial, and then we went in and saw the museum. We learned that the men, the women, and the children were shot, and children who had blonde hair were sent to Germany to be adopted. One of the stories we heard is a little girl who was sent to Germany to be adopted, and her mother had survived Letitse. But when her mother was dying, several years later, she was unable to communicate with her mother because she had only been able to speak Czech. And when we left Letitse, after seeing everything, we saw that the memorial was in the middle of several villages. And I think what stuck out to us is the fact that it could have been any of those villages. But these people who lived in these villages and who grew up here won the unlucky lottery, and for for a crime that they weren't even involved in. Their village, their home was destroyed. We also visited, we had driven from Ledice about an hour out to Terezin, which was a working camp that was previously a fort, but then was turned into a working camp by the Nazis. And it housed everyone from people who were just in the prisons, who had committed as small as a crime as smoking, to Jewish people as well. We saw the cells, and people who had committed small crimes or were just sent to Terezin and were not Jewish, everyone from communists to people who committed these small crimes, would have been put in a cell that had beds with a heater and some windows. And we saw the Jewish cell, which had no window, had no beds, had nothing. We saw the working conditions of the Jewish people and how little food they were given. And I think one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was a sign that was in front of Terezin, and it said, "Work will set you free." And as we all know, a lot of Jewish people from Terezin were sent to other concentration camps and would have been killed. So for me, what was so daunting was that the sign wasn't true for a lot of Jewish people who were sent here, and for a lot of people who were sent there as well.
I picked the next song because I do believe that we will someday, if we continue in our journey toward peace, get there. I do believe that. Maybe not everywhere, but there will be more of it. And I want to remind you all of something that you may not realize. Somebody told me this a while ago. Do you know that not everybody, if you're very young, maybe not, but anybody who was born before 2012 and has been around from 1996 to 2012, I don't know if you realize this, but it's actually the most peaceful time we know of in mankind. So we did it in our lifetime, which means we can do it again. This is a song called One Day, and I really do believe one day.
'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, say it with me, one day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving, 'cause the waters stay ranging. In this maze you could lose your way, your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it faze you no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know one day it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been praying for, I've been saying that the children should pay. We don't want to fight no more, let there be no more wars and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day. One day this all will change, treat people the same. Stop with that violence, down with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same song, singing songs of freedom like sometimes in my tears I drown, but no, I never let it get me down. Oh, when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, oh, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Thank you. Peace.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. For the time of meditation this morning, take a moment to center yourselves as we reflect on these very powerful stories from our youth today. This poem is called All Set for an Adventure by Clay Kohut. Would you like to come with me? We could head into the mountains or the shallow southern sea. We could travel to the forest, living life among the trees, or be yellow buzzing creatures that we call bumblebees. We could rocket into orbit. We could visit outer space. We could dive into the ocean. We could go to any place. Would you like to visit Paris? We could be there in a snap. We could ride a wheel Ferris or climb icy polar caps. All set for an adventure. We could venture anywhere. Oh, I don't know. Where shall we go? Pick any place that you dare. Thank you.
Now we enter into a time of meditation, taking a moment to share our joys and our sorrows. We do this every week as a way of caring for each other. We invite you to share the joys and sorrows you hold in your heart today. If you are online, you may do so in the chat for this service below. Those of you here in person may have already lit a candle or submitted a joy or sorrow, which I will read. We will also offer a moment for those here to share out loud the names of those who you are holding in your heart today. So, let us quiet ourselves in order to enter that holy space of listening, breathing in a breath of life and breathing out a breath of peace. Now, I invite you to share out loud the names of anyone else you are holding in your heart today. May we hold all these joys and all these sorrows, both spoken and unspoken, in our hearts while we enter a moment of silence. Blessed be. Now I invite you to stand in body or in spirit for our next hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Hi again. As you've heard from all of the youth today, Our time in Prague was filled with interconnection, reflection, and personal growth. While I completely knew before takeoff that this trip was intended to spark these powerful emotions, I did not anticipate how heavily I would rely on the other members of the youth group to sort through both the challenging parts and the formative experiences along the way. In my dining room at home, my family has a framed poem on the wall, which details the multiple aspects that make the kitchen table so valuable to a family. This poem, which we first heard here at CUC when Reverend Andre read it, illustrates the supportive conversations, hilarious jokes, senseless bickering, serious advice, and of course, the delicious food that comes with dinner time. Our time spent together as a youth group in Prague showed me that this concept of the kitchen table does not only apply in my home, but really can be applied wherever there is genuine care for one another. I was thankful for this kitchen table after a long day of hauling sticks, branches, and weeds out of the neglected Jewish cemetery when we indulged in a couple of Czech favorites, including fried cauliflower and roasted duck. I was grateful for the kitchen table when I tried beef tartare, goulash, fried cheese, and pork knuckle for the first time. And of course, I was thankful for the delicious sundaes, sorbets, and tasty desserts that congratulated us on a day well spent. These meals, however, as delectable and satisfying as they were not my favorite part of the kitchen table. Being seated with the youth group and chaperones here with me today allowed us to grow a greater appreciation for our unique backgrounds and the experiences and memories which we now share together. Our jovial conversations about our days in Prague were intertwined with tidbits from our lives at home. I devoured Joseph's retellings of being a brewer and beekeeper, Amory's time abroad in Paris, David's hopes for this summer and for his future, and Quinlan's new friends in college with more fervor than the actual food that was in front of me. And those are just a few topics. I thought, how beautiful is it that 10 different people with 10 completely different stories can come together and break bread at our shared kitchen table. I know that I speak for the youth when I say that this valuable time spent fulfilling such a basic biological need was essential for our digestion of the trip. Together, we were able to articulate the awe experienced when entering the St. Nicholas Church, the heartbreaking pain when we listened to the refugee family, the spontaneity of boarding a river cruise which circulated the Charles Bridge, and the everlasting impact of the Lidice Memorial, where innocent lives were lost in the name of hatred. The kitchen table was integral to our live understanding of our emotions and of each other. And so, with our bellies filled with food and our brains bursting with curiosity and perspective, it was time to leave the kitchen table and walk home. Also, it was at this time when we sang like nobody was watching. After a few nights spent walking home while singing, this tradition became known as Pragueapella, a cappella in Prague. Do you get it? These walking karaoke shows were how we shared our last parts of the day together before separating into our hotel rooms. Whether it was the Spice Girls, Amy Winehouse, or our favorite UU hymns, the entire youth group would gallivant down the dark cobblestone streets of the city while singing atrociously out of pitch. These precious walks home reminded me that tasty food and a silly song and dance are what made bonding with this youth group so incredibly easy. Before we extinguish the chalice and sing one of our favorite songs from Pragueapella, I would like to sincerely thank all of you in the congregation, the Women's Alliance, Michael Patrick, Amory Hartman, and Joseph Mahak for making this trip possible. For as long as I am alive, I will tenderly reminisce on our days eating, singing, and growing closer together as a Unitarian Universalist youth group. Thank you.
I'm back. Please join me in saying our closing words. We extinguish this chalice flame, but not our promise to each other, to act with grace, to hold each other in love, to serve this community and our world. This promise of the heart serves as a reminder of how we live together. May it bring joy to our collective lives.
Okay, so as I said, we would sing a lot for no particular reason, and at this moment I'd like to invite the youth group to stand with me as we sing our favorite UU hymn, which reminds us so much of our childhood and of our time, and of our light that we bring to Prague.
And feel free to sing along.
Yes, please do.
Stand up.
Stand up, sing. Okay, it's hymn 118, This Little Light of Mine. All right. Do we know this one? All right.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it show. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you, everyone.
Join us for coffee after.
And by the way,